So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to take a few moments to talk about mental health, talk about shadow work, talk about stepping into your personal power. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Hallie. I am a spiritual trauma healer, aspiring therapist, and I'm someone who has experienced a lot of trauma in their life and who helps other people step into their own power, taking back control of their inner selves, their sacred sanctum, and being able to live their life after experiencing traumatic situations. Being that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and that currently what we're seeing all over social media is this conversation of would you rather be left alone in the woods with a man or with a bear? And this controversy that this has sparked uh because there's so many people who understand why, as women or as men or as trans, non binary people, because it's not just women, why we would choose the bear. And because there's so many men on the other side of that that are offended that we would choose the bear. Mental health is taking a spotlight right now. Not just mental health, but specifically trauma. I want to take some time to address some difficult things. I will put a trigger warning in the initial post wherever you do see this video. But we're going to talk about some difficult things because there's a lot of people who are revisiting some difficult wounds in their life because of what is happening on social media. There's a lot of people who are afraid to look for healing. There's a lot of people who don't know that they need to look for healing. So I want to talk about validation. I want to talk about not holding yourself responsible for the actions of others. I want to talk to you about no longer putting yourself under the wheels of the bus because someone else hurt you. When we talk about getting into a better mental health state, or when we start to move towards healing ourselves psychologically, one of the big things that we come across is having to address the situation, our inner child, our shadow archetypes and shadow traits that may still be existing inside of us. And a large piece of this is because we have not validated our own feelings and emotions. So, what do I mean by validation? What do I mean by looking at these things and understanding what part we could not play? We often feel shame and embarrassment. We feel regret, anger, and there's so much grief. There's so much grief that comes along with this. Part of this is because we don't understand when we are hurt how to react to it the first time. Not that there should be more, but often there are more than one, especially when we're in this realm that we're speaking of, this realm of SA and physical assault. There's so much grief if it was a person that we loved that hurt us, if it was a person who we wanted to love us, who we wanted the attention of. And we put that grief in very odd places. We start to feel anger. We start to feel like we have been deceived. We feel like we cannot trust the world. We cannot trust ourselves. We cannot trust that we are stable in situations and relationships and different environments. The shame is part of that, but we also feel shame for feeling these emotions. We feel shame for being upset. We feel shame for losing our power. We feel shame for becoming a victim. Validation removes that shame. Validation reminds us that just because something happened to us does not mean that we are not allowed to feel. It does not mean that we are not allowed to come back into control. Validating these emotions bring us to an awareness inside of ourselves that something happened, something changed us, something altered the course of events in our lives. Validation also tells us that it is okay to be angry at the people that hurt us, that it is okay to feel like things are unfair, that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to feel like we have lost ourselves. With this being Mental Health Awareness Month, through your validation, there is hope and understanding. Because in validation, you put worth back into yourself. You put meaning back into your words. You put purpose back into your actions. A lot of times we see validation and we see it as an acceptance, an allowance, and that's not what it is. When you make this acceptance, when you validate yourself, validate your feelings and your emotions, and validate what you will do to protect yourself and step back into that power, you're already stepping back into it. You are providing yourself with a platform. You're putting yourself back into control. This allows you to feel more freedom to seek justice if need be and available legally, I should say. This provides you with a platform to speak out for yourself, stand up for yourself, tell people that you are not the situations that have happened to you. It also allows you to grieve as you begin to change your situations, your outcomes, your future scenarios. When we work through validation, we open ourselves up to that first stage of healing, that first stage of understanding, and that first stage of interpersonal connection. For Mental Health Awareness Month, validate your emotions. Seek help if you need to. Don't be afraid to reach out to a support system. Build your support system. Find a shadow work facilitator. Step back in with your therapist. As a shadow work facilitator myself, I welcome you to come to me. My inbox, my doors, my arms, my ears, my space always holds room for you, for you do not take up too much. Speaking also as a spiritual trauma healer, just as a reminder that in the United States, 82% of adults hold a spiritual practice or a belief system. 70% of adults have experienced a traumatic situation in their lives at least one time. And only 23% of these adults have an advisor, therapist, or access to mental health treatment of some kind. This may add yourself to that percentage that has access to mental health treatment, whether that be through therapy and counseling, building support system, or working with a shadow work advisor. You do not have to walk this path alone. You are never alone. And if you want to know how not alone you are, I want to remind you how many people will choose the bear over the man. Blessed be, my friends.